So the next question is about gun violence prevention. Again, another topic that got quite a few questions. So this is, if you're listening for your own question in the audience, this is an amalgamation of a couple of different questions that got submitted. When you ask candidates about gun violence prevention, we hear a lot about policies like assault weapons bans and background checks, things like that. Those are the regular answers that we get from candidates. Can you discuss a new or a different gun safety idea that you think deserves more attention? And we'll start with Gary Terry.
Gary Terry, you can't say my first name without saying the last, can you?
It's great, yeah.
Yes, the things that you just mentioned, they're all things that we know that we need to do. But there's a policy, there's an idea that, I would like to float. Much like getting a driver's license, I think we need to have some type of a test so that someone has a license or certification to own a gun. And that might include a written test up front, just to understand what guns are and what they can do. I would advocate for some type of a mental competency test so that we understand that the person that wants to buy a gun is mentally competent and mentally stable enough to own the gun. And then a final test of actually, firing the weapon. That's one of the things that, I advocate for, I want to push, so that we restrict just the idea of people being able to just go buy a gun without having any idea of the responsibility that owning a gun has. If we do it for cars, we can do it for guns.
Yeah, no,
I thought it was my turn. So yeah, the writers co-opted the Second Amendment, but they forget the very first part of it, a well-regulated militia. And I think we need to regulate the weapons we own in this country. And everybody should have a permit to carry it. And Mothers Demand Action requires, they want a 5-day cooling off period before you purchase a weapon. I say extend that to 14 days. These be 14 days. And everybody should have a gun safety test, either written, verbal or written. And I think those are imperative. And one of the main things we need to do, because these weapons are only as good as the person behind it. And so, everybody walks around with an AR-15 because they think it's cool and all this stuff. But if we ban the high capacity clips, the magazines, nobody should own more than a 3-shot magazine with their weapon. And that would prevent a lot of this because, frankly, you get a 30-round magazine, you get 4 of those, and it may not be an automatic weapon, but as fast as you can pull that trigger and load that weapon, you can do some damage. So, and I think that is imperative that we reinstate that in the bump stocks and the ghost guns, all the things that are common sense requirements. We need to get back and do that and enforce the laws that are currently on the books. We're not doing that. Close the loopholes. Close these gun shows. Nobody should be able to buy a weapon unless they've gone through a thorough background check. I'm talking through the FBI, through a fingerprint, and through the mental health institutes. We can protect people's personal information, but we need to make sure that you have the capacity to carry a weapon.
Something new and different for me would be just plain old registering guns. Every gun owner should have their gun registered, just like a vehicle. I think if you could create that type of ownership, it will change the way they use it, as well as doing the responsible licensing. Every gun owner should have a license. They teach you how to use it safely, and you're prepared to use it. So for me, between red flag laws, waiting periods, registering guns is a must. Because I think a lot of our street guns come from people who buy them legally, but also sell them under the table. It's kind of like cryptocurrency. Otherwise, why don't we fix this problem? It's the #1 killer of our children, and none of us are safe anywhere. Every time I'm in a large group, I'm thinking in the back of my head, is some crazy going to show up? We need to register guns and hold people accountable for where their guns are.